So I wanted to go live today, just really quick. I had a quick drive, half an hour drive. So I figure we go ahead and try to go live today from the truck, of course, and specifically about the topic of just things that smaller, I guess, operations, companies that are one man, maybe two man shows, you're still relatively small. About where we're at, right? And I notice whenever, one, just based off of questions that I get fairly, on a regular basis, that there's a lot of things that specifically some of the, I don't want to say old heads or anything, but just the older generation that, you guys are missing out on whenever it comes to growing your pest control business. And when I say older generation, I mean, anyone that's over, I'd probably say the age of like 45, maybe 50, but even sometimes newer solo operators who are just starting their pest control business, and not even just pest control business, really any home service business. It's very common practice to, try to cut cost, try to, avoid getting these different softwares, CRMs, bookkeeping software, whatever the case may be. And I see it more times than not, even from my personal experience, I see it more times than not backfire when it comes to, you think I'm going to save $90 here, I'm going to save $50 there, avoiding getting these softwares. And sorry about the bumps. We're going through a construction zone right now. Hopefully that'll improve here shortly. But when it comes to, saving that money, that $50 here, $90 there, you think you're saving money, making your business more efficient, because obviously you don't want wasteful spending, right? We're not Congress. We don't have unlimited budgets. But at the end of the day, you're actually losing money because you're not being as efficient. You think you're being efficient because you're saving money, but you're actually losing money. You're missing out on money because what's the old saying? How's it go? You're passing over dollars to pick up pennies or nickels at best. For example, I spend on average, depending on what all we're running, with Google Ads, because we have different softwares even for Google Ads to prevent bot traffic and things of that nature. If we have every single software that I know and use, we don't use them all the time, like I said, but if we are using them all in unison at once, we're spending upwards of a bare minimum $500, sometimes even $600 a month just on software. Now, again, that's when we have everything going, and I'm sure as we get bigger and bigger, that cost will go up as well. But you got to think about it. If you're sitting down still using pen and paper, or the paper tickets, you don't have any way of tracking where your calls are coming from, your forms on your website are coming from. Hell, some companies don't even have a website still. How do you plan on getting legit business on a regular basis, every day, every week, when people cannot find you online? It just blows my mind. Or the Google Business Profile, right? That's a whole nother aspect. But that's a different subject for a different day. We talk about that a lot on this channel. But my whole point about software is, there's a couple different softwares that if you just implement these softwares only, like immediately, starting this week, you will start noticing you're saving so much time. And what are you going to do with that time? You're going to answer more calls, you're going to get more leads, get more sales, and by the way, get that work done quicker, because instead of having to dedicate, an hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be per day to paperwork, you're now automating that to a degree to where you may only need to go in once every few weeks, depending on your size, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every couple days. I personally, even with the softwares, like to go into everything once a day, just to kind of make sure everything is, we're not having any hiccups or anything like that, because of course you don't want to be over reliant on technology. There are times where technology fails, as we all know, but you'll start noticing immediately that your business is becoming more efficient and you're able to do more. And if nothing else, you're going to buy some of your time back. I've been actually reading, well, more so listening, because I have Audible. If you don't know what Audible is by now, definitely look it up. It's well worth it. You get those audiobooks essentially for free. But I've been listening to one by, what's his name? Dan Martell, called Buy Back Your Time. And literally the entire book is about, as you would expect, buying back your time. And it just got me thinking about this exact subject. So many solo operators, and not even solo operators, I even see it with other guys that I know in my area in DFW who they have 2 techs, 5 techs. It's usually smaller operations still, where you're less than 10 technicians, who they're still trying to cut so much spending that they end up making they end up being the bottleneck. The owner, the operator, ends up being the bottleneck of the business, because they're trying to be so lean with the spending that it ends up costing more money than what you're actually saving, because your business just isn't efficient anymore. So, like I said, what are some examples of just a couple of different softwares that you should be implementing if you're not already, that is going to literally, if nothing else, just buy back your time, give you some more freedom to be able to spend time with your loved ones, grow your business more, go to networking events, whatever you may want to do with some of your time. By the way, if you have any questions or anything as we go, these live streams are more for you guys than anything, so don't hesitate to drop them in the chat down below. But what are some ways that you can buy back your time with the softwares? What are some specific softwares that we use? One, first and foremost, is obviously a CRM. Now, of course, you guys know we use GorillaDesk. Obviously, we get new viewers on a daily basis over here. And by the way, subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the mission to 5K subs. Once we get to 5K subs, we're going to do a huge giveaway. We got a long way to go, but definitely subscribe. But, CRM. You guys know we use GorillaDesk. We've used GorillaDesk pretty much since day one in business. I think it was technically month 2 that I implemented GorillaDesk in our business. And I just can't believe that I didn't do it sooner, to be honest, guys. I mean, I was still using something that was better than nothing, but I was literally just using Square. Square has they call them Square appointments, where you can connect your Square with your calendar. It like I said, it's better than nothing, especially when we were using Square as our payment software in the first place. But you have to make the switch to a legit CRM where you're able to track, where are our leads coming from? Where are our, just where are leads coming from? What's our customer retention? What's our, what they call it, sales forecast, how to brain fart there. What's our sales forecast for next month? There's just so many different things that you have to actually be thinking about and tracking. Otherwise, like we said, your business is not going to be running efficiently. You're going to be overpaying on marketing costs, because you're just going to be throwing marketing dollars at Facebook ads, Yelp ads, Google local services. You're going to be having all this money going out to these companies, and what are you going to rely on? You're going to rely on them to tell you honest numbers about your click-through rate, your calls, your forms that have been filled out. You're going to rely on them? No. So that's why you want to have a CRM like GorillaDesk in place, and you also want to have CallRail. CallRail and GorillaDesk are by far the ones that, if you're not going to do, that and then bookkeeping, which we'll get into in a second, obviously. But, if there's going to be 2 or 3 softwares that you must get a CRM, you must get a marketing tracking software like CallRail. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with CallRail. I don't have any discount codes or anything, unfortunately, at this moment for you guys. Maybe in the near future we will. It's hard to say. The companies approach me at the end of the day if they see my content, they like it or whatever. But as of now, we don't have any type of affiliate discount or anything. And I'll give you all like I said, what we're paying, because I know you guys are going to pay about the same at the end of the day. But going back to what I was saying, CallRail, GorillaDesk, any CRM, but specifically for the call tracking, form submission tracking, things of that nature, you're going to want to use CallRail. They're by far the golden standard in marketing tracking software. And then, of course, like I kind of hinted at a second ago, you're going to have to get some type of accounting, bookkeeping software if you're not going to pay a bookkeeper, which obviously if you're watching this video, like I said, you're probably wanting to kind of cut costs as much as possible. So you're not going to want to pay that, hundreds of dollars a month in bookkeeping costs, right? So get something like QuickBooks. Don't be cheap with this either, guys. Like, you definitely, when it comes to these softwares, you get what you pay for at the end of the day. I've used 2 or 3 different ones, and I've been using QuickBooks now. And don't get me wrong, QuickBooks has its issues of its own, but it's by far, just like CallRail, the gold standard of, bookkeeping software. There's a reason why they have outlasted everybody. And, we're paying what for the bookkeeping in it, as well as our running payroll tax, all that type of stuff. Ours is only coming out to $97 a month for our, what you want to call it, subscription, membership, whatever you want to call it. And that includes sales tax, by the way. So, it's something like $90 a month plus whatever sales tax you have. GorillaDesk, depending on which option you're going to go with, I suggest at the bare minimum going with the pro version, because there's really no, if I'm going to be honest, there's no reason to go with the basic version. The basic version is just too limiting. Again, it's better than nothing, but if you're already going to spend $50, what's another, $49 to upgrade to the pro version, like we've talked about on this channel. I have tons of videos like going over just benefits of GorillaDesk Pro versus basic, versus now we have recently upgraded to their growth plan, which I'm still poking around with. Look out for videos in the future on just like how to, is it worth it to have the or whatever they call it, growth plan. We just upgraded to that last month, so I'm still learning that part of it myself. But when it comes to that, like we say, you're looking at roughly, $99 a month, depending on which option you go with. So now we're up to about $190, we'll call it. We'll just round up to $190. And then, what else do we got? CallRail. Yeah, so CallRail, like I mentioned, it is, if you just use the minimum amount of phone numbers they give you, you're going to be looking somewhere around $100 a month. Now, it could be a little bit less, again, depending on what options, bolts and nuts you decide to go with, membership. But, with us, we have, we got what they call a call number pool, where, your phone number is kind of alternating on your website. I never really understood why it needs to be like that, but apparently for websites, you need a number pool. So you get the number pool, and we have, I think, 4, maybe even 5 different marketing tracking numbers. We got one for both of our Google business profiles. We have, I think, another 2, maybe 1 or 2 for different type of 2. That's right, because we got one for a bedbug Google ad that we're running, and then we have our other one for like our general, just pest control, termite control Google ads that are running as well. And then I feel like we might have one more, maybe for I don't think we have one for Facebook, actually. So yeah, we got like 4, maybe 5, and we're paying like right at $115, $120 a month. So now we're up to what, 310, we'll call it, 315, 310 a month. And like I said, that, you could get by with just doing that alone. Like, it's better than nothing. You're going to be way more efficient. Your marketing dollars are going to be much better spent because you're knowing exactly where the leads are coming from. I could dive into a whole bunch of other things, how to make your website better in terms of different plugins and softwares and this and that. But, I'm just focusing right now on this stream since we're on a limited time, since I'm just driving to my route right now. Wanted to just, like I said, give you guys kind of the bare bones of like, what do you absolutely need to stop not just wasting time, but passing up on money. Like I forget what I titled this stream. What did I title it? I got it pulled up over here for you guys. Like, you're leaving money on the table. And that's exactly right. Like, you're leaving money on the table by not having just these few softwares. I mean, literally, like we said, 300 and change per month. And I guarantee you, if you do that, and then obviously, you know, you control your time at the end of the day, so it's a matter of staying on top of this stuff to some degree. If you just do that little amount of work and spend that little amount of money, you will indeed buy back, depending on the size of your company. I'm just going to assume most of you guys are a one-man show. You are definitely going to save at least 20 hours a week. And like I said, I know from experience, when I very first started my business, like most of you, I was trying to make sure that I was keeping costs very lean. I bought $100 to $200 worth of paper tickets, which I've actually just recently finally threw them away. I was keeping them forever. I showed them on a video recently where I was like, man, these are like a souvenir, like an antique at this point, because I bought them, you know, back in 2020 when I first started the business. And just simply sitting there at each stop, not including a service agreement. We're just talking about filling out the work order, putting the chemical, you know, putting the price, putting that they paid, all this, like just that alone, you're saving approximately 5 minutes per stop. So think about if you're doing 10 stops a day, not even a busy day, 10 stops a day, 5 minutes, you're saving almost an hour a day just on 10 stops a day. That doesn't include the bookkeeping side. That doesn't include, like we said, the marketing, tracking side. Like there's, like I said, you're gonna save a minimum of 20 hours a week by just implementing some very, very basic software. So, now we've been live for a little bit, so we got a few of you in here. Let me look at the chat. Totally agree. Shout out to Carl. Carl says, totally agree on the subject. No, most definitely. Jake says, let me see, light just turned green, so you're gonna have to give me 1 second before I read the full comment here. We're slowing down again. Jake says, I'm going 1 year in business. When do I get inspected? Could you give me a list of what inspectors are looking for? So that is going to depend on your state. I know in Texas, they're technically supposed to come out to you after 6 months of being in business. And then it's like every, I want to say 3 to 5 years, something like that after it. I think it's 3, but 3 to 5 years. And here's the kicker. They say that, and who knows, it could be that I started my business during COVID, but I did not get visited until 2023. So I was in business for 3 years before, actually it was just under 3 years. They came out like September. We officially would have been in business 3 years in November or end of October, early November. So again, that's going to depend on your state more than anything. Again, like I always say, if you have a question about anything like laws and regs related, I always say start with your state Department of Agriculture website. Or if you have your books still, a lot of the books will even tell you stuff about that. But in Texas specifically, because that's where I am, like I said, technically if they're going by the book, they're supposed to come out within your first 6 months. And then after that, it's usually every few years, unless if, of course, you're, doing some stupid things and getting in trouble, right? He also said, what do you charge? What do I charge? Like just general pest control? That's a very loaded question. I mean, general pest control, termite, rodent and wildlife, and again, that's also going to depend on your location. I see this question all the time in the Facebook groups. Like, what do you guys think is a good price to charge for, general pest control on a 2,500 square foot home? And it's like, I mean, what state are you in? How many more taxes and this and that do you have versus what we have? Because obviously in Texas, like, we have a lot less taxes than everybody else. Like, we have higher property tax to a degree, but in terms of just overall operating costs, it's a lot less here than it is in some of these other crazy, East Coast, West Coast states, right? So what I always suggest when it comes to pricing, regardless of what type of service you're looking at pricing out, I always suggest calling up at least 10 of your competitors, and if you don't want to do it because you feel weird about it, have your wife do it. Like, have a woman or somebody do it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like me, I just, rung them up. I submitted forms, things of that nature. A lot of times they'll text you, whatever the case may be, but get some idea from like 10 of your largest competitors. I don't really care what Joe Blow down the street is charging, because chances are he's charging just enough to pay his bills, own his job. He's not really trying to grow a business. So I wouldn't call any company that you can tell is either A, just like a one-man operation, or B, has like very little reviews. Like I said, call the 10 largest, most reputable companies in your area and just get some general idea, like, hey, what would you charge for a general pest? What would you charge for pest and termite? Just again, get some type of idea and write these numbers down. Like, Terminex charges this, Orkin charges that. And then don't just do the national companies either. When I say 10, that's why I say 10 largest, because I don't want you just to do Terminex, Orkin, what are some other big ones? Is it Rollins? I don't even know if Rollins is still around, but the bigger ones. But also go with like the bigger local companies, like us, for example. One of our biggest local competitors in the Plano, Texas area is a company called All Safe Pest and Termite. They're still, medium-sized business, but they're pretty big across the North Dallas and Plano, Texas area. They've got multiple locations. They've got thousands of reviews. So, that would be a company you'd want to get some idea of pricing on, just as an example. So like I say, call up 10 companies, get their pricing, write them all down, like based on what options they offer. Do they offer yearly billing, monthly billing? What do they offer, right? In terms of just different plans, pricing. And then from there, just kind of average it out. And then you'll know at least kind of what the average is. And then from there, take a look. What was the most expensive? What separates them from everybody else? They're still getting a bunch of business, even though they're the most expensive company. And then, okay, who is the cheapest? What do I see common there? And then, like we said, what's kind of that middle, if there is a middle? And then, like we said, from there, you just decide what type of company you want to be. Do you want to be the standard, the gold standard? And, you're probably going to get less customers, especially early on. Like I said, I even posted a short about this recently that, it's a very, in my opinion, it's like walking what they call them a tightrope, where, you're doing a balancing act, because when you're first starting your business, you don't want to necessarily, this goes against what a lot of people online will say, but I'll say it, when you're first getting started, you need to do whatever it takes to get a good reputation. I don't care if you offer free initial services. I don't care if you offer $50 initial services. I don't care what it is. You just need to be focused first and foremost on, one, just staying alive, right? Making sure that, you're not putting yourself or your family, if you have a family, in jeopardy. But two, most importantly after that, being getting the reviews. You should work as hard as possible to get to 50 reviews as soon as possible on your Google Business Profile. Because once you start doing that, you're going to have calls coming in on a consistent basis, to where at that point, like we talked about in a previous stream, supply and demand, right? Whenever you have enough calls coming in to where, you're not necessarily hurting anymore, that is when you can decide, okay, let me go ahead and adjust my price based on the value that I'm offering. And then at that point, like we said, of course, your conversion rate is naturally going to drop some. You're never, I don't care what any of these sales gurus or whatever you want to call them say, when it comes to the home service sector, plumbing, HVAC, pest control, what else? Cleaning, any type of home service business, you are not going to get a big percentage of people to overcome their price objection. It just is what it is. Price objections when it comes to home services is the number one killer of any lead. You can't convince me otherwise. It is what it is. Now, can you have a conversation with them about it and, inform them, educate them, and swing some people? Absolutely. That's why I will always ask people as soon as they ask about price. I'm like, let me ask you, what's most important to you? Is it price or is it the result? What we're producing, right? Because, if you want someone that's going to take care of your issue, take care of you, make sure that you're happy, best customer service, yada, 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 we're the company for you. But if you're wanting just the cheapest company, then, I'm not going to lie, we are not even going to be close to the cheapest company. Matter of fact, we're closer to the top than we are the bottom. So, you know, again, it's just about, that's why I am pro qualifying a lead just as much as they are qualifying you. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Usher sent a longer comment in. I'm gonna wait a sec to read that until I get up here to a stop. But yeah, no, like I said, trying to do some more of these live streams for you guys, like while we're, you know, en route to either the office or en route to, you know, our route for the day, because as most of you guys know, I moved out a little ways recently. You know, trying to just, you know, talk about saving money, saving a considerable amount of money, well over $2,000 a month based on where we're living now. The only downside is of course, you know, we have at least a 20-minute, 30-minute, today was about 30 minutes of a drive to our route. So just be careful driving. You have someone who you're interacting with the chat. Oh yeah, no. Yeah, that's why for the most part you don't see me reading the comments or anything like that, other than when I'm pretty much stopped. Yeah, no, I see some of these streamers out here. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you can tell, like, they're like all up in the chat and everything. Like, I'm like, while you're driving, bro. Like, it's one thing, like I said, to have a outline. Like the first 15 minutes of the stream, I had an outline already in my head of what we were going to talk about, like I said. And by the way, speaking of those, you know, the CRM, this and that, any links and things of that nature that I mentioned are usually going to be in the description box down below. And then if they're not, then I also have my LinkTree, which is down below, which all helpful links are always in my LinkTree. The only thing I don't think might be in there is CallRail, so might have to work on getting CallRail in there. But hopefully, as always, you all did enjoy the stream. If you did, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button and share it with somebody if you know somebody that would benefit from it. I'm actually going to be pulling up to my first stop of the day. Got a little bit later of a start again today, but going to be pulling up here in just a second. And I know the service is going to start going down. The quality of my phone service is going to be going down here any second now. So hopefully you guys did enjoy it. As always, like I said, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. That way you'll be notified every time we go live or upload another video. Like I said, I plan on doing a lot more of these in the future for you guys. Hopefully they just continue to get better and better. If you don't know my story, just real quickly, of course, I took my business from 0 to 6 figures in 1 year, and I just document my entire business journey, business, investing, all that type of stuff on this channel. So if any of that interests you, like I said, subscribe, hit the bell icon, join our Discord, which is also in the link tree down below in the description box, and I will see you guys in the next one, and have a good week, crush it, and go get the life that you and your family deserves.